All right, we are back. So what we had for that OR at the end, I put it in the chat, but I will also say it for posterity. We had Elevated want a high block assessed to Booty Queen at the end of that jam there. They did lose the review, and they went straight to intermission. That's why we didn't have another jam. And then I will tell you some stuff about this game after this first jam. So Knuckles back on the line for Wasatch. They're starting with one blocker in the box who is now returning. And, of course, jamming for Elevated. That is Lost in Your Thighs. No lead yet, but Pack is getting stretched out a little bit. Thighs working on the Pack in the back. They've got 3 blockers to beat. Again, Wasatch, they really have the number of these Elevated jammers, so we know they were doing some homework. Knuckles, again, 3 to beat. Neither of these teams has been really keen on playing a lot of offense. This will become more important as they play later today, and as it gets hotter, it is supposed to be 100 degrees in Denver today, so, you know, save a jammer, play some offense. Again, no lead. All right, we've got a lead assessed because the Pack was finally pushed out of play, and we are going to see an illegal position at the end for one of these blockers. That is going to be 1-5. Probably going to have to sit 2. Yep, illegal procedure, just skating through the track. Didn't immediately leave the track. So now he's going to have to sit a minute penalty. At least it's not a jammer. That's a thing. Tsunami with the star now for Elevated Roller Derby. Thighs did pass the star because Knuckles got lead. So Knuckles coming up through this far straightaway. Almost catch by 5:05. That is Swearin' Marie. Does a lot of blocking work for this team. But Knuckles will call off the jam after getting 4 points, icing that Elevated blocker in the box, who did have to go and sit 2 penalties. Ouchies. Ouch. I'm trying to make this chat box do what I want, and it's not working. All right, I'm just going to have to move stuff around until I'm happy with it. Here we are, Fight Girlfriend, back on the line for Elevated. That is Fruit Smacks for Wasatch. I did see a no pack called there. That was Girlfriend's sign to hit the Jets. It does work. A few more pushes, and she is your lead jammer for Elevated. First lead of the half for Elevated. Fruit Smacks out of the pack, looking at the pack, taking her time. Coming back around for the scoring pass, but again, Wasatch defense, all 4 now are looking at Fighting Girlfriend. 2 of them are touching her. Looks like Colonel Skirts, number 4, hanging on. Oh, nice knockout by the pivot. That is, again, Booty Queen, who is sitting on 4 penalties from the first half. And then I did see somebody with 4 penalties on Elevated, but honestly pretty clean. 12 and 13 penalties. 12 for Elevated, 13 for Wasatch. 2 jammer penalties, however, for Elevated. 0 for Wasatch. Very clean. And we are going to see a direction call now on Booty Queen. That's number 5 for her. 4 points picked up by Fruit Smacks. Fighting Girlfriend still on that first scoring pass. So big lead kill. Oh, nice. Oh, nice. Oh, there on the outside line for Knuckles. I think she is going to get all 4 of those points. Yeah, no, maybe not. We're going to see no earned pass. Does get 3. Because that one blocker stepped out. So that allowed her to keep going. And Fighting Girlfriend, again, still getting that keep going signal from the bench. And Fruit Smacks back around for another scoring pass. Wasatch losing a blocker to the box, but Booty Queen is returning. And now Smacks has lapped Fighting Girlfriend. Let her call it, guys. What are you doing? 121 to 76. Elevated had lead, but didn't score the most points. Unfortunately, Wasatch is going to win this jam despite not being the lead jammer. 11 to 7, 121 to 79. Some Interesting bench choices, but it is early. We got time. It's the second half. Yeah. Banff on the line for elevated Devil's Ivy backup for Wasatch. Again, neither of these teams has been playing very much offense for these jammers. We do have a lead jammer that is Banff. Again, one of their stronger jammers. Again, Devil's Ivy's still one of Wasatch's stronger jammers, so this is a good matchup. We did see Banff call for some offense. Doesn't really happen. It does result in a forearm call on Swearin Marie for the effort there. There was a little offense, but that was a forearm. Devil's Ivy, again, both jammers have now scored 4 points, and Banff is also getting that keep going signal, but gets knocked out to the outside, chooses to call it off. Devil's Ivy, again, gets all 4 points for Wasatch here. 8-5 jam in favor of Wasatch, 129-84. Got a little official timeout. Seven points up. I don't know what Snarkomedes is doing. Official hand signals. I'm learning. Stuff is happening. Wasatch has sent out another blocker. They sent out a pivot. That's 909 with the pivot. That's Tsunami. Jam is alive. We have, that is 8-0. Meep for elevated. Ooh, big hit onto the outside by Colonel Skirts. Wow. Meep getting up slowly. And lead jammer does go to Knuckles. And again, Knuckles on that scoring pass, forcing, yeah, really good. Honestly, really good at destabilizing the opposing blockers. I've seen Knuckles take people for a spill while doing very little. Elevated jammer gets out, but that will be the call off. Jam. All right. Eve Hell sent out with Lost in Your Thighs, so sending out the tall jammers. We're going to have a tall jammer jam. Tall jammy jam time. Eve been very good at capitalizing on space. Normally you see tall jammers, they want to have space so they can go fast, but Eve is just as fine to use the footwork here. Has gotten a few leads. Lost in Your Thighs, again, stuck on this Wasatch defense. And there we go, lead jammer. That is going to be Eve Hell. Your lead jammer. It did take, about 25-ish seconds. But, again, Wasatch showing they're going to get those leads. We're seeing a forearm call on 314. That is Bip, Captain Bip. Oof. Eve coming to the back, losing the balance there, taking a little fall. Getting caught on Amanda Jamadinia, and now I see Lost in Your Thighs, who has passed the star. That is number 9, now Kel's Inferno, your jammer for elevated. So this is the second star pass we've seen Kel take. Did end up in the... want to say ended up in the box once in the first half, but don't quote me as the jammer. But yeah, second star pass, and that other star pass she took didn't get out of the pack at all, and now we're going to see something similar now. They've knocked her out to the outside. And now you have your jammer blocking and your pivot jamming. Eve Hell, again, scoring pass. Just needs to stay on those feet, get those 4 points. for Wasatch. Okay, the team from Salt Lake did not come to mess around this weekend. That is a very loud call-off request. Eve did hear finally. There are a lot of fans in here, so honestly it's very loud. And by fans, I mean the spinning kind, not the screaming kind. 137 to 84. Wasatch very definitively in the lead. We got 20 minutes left in this game to turn things around, Elevated. But we're starting to get into the realm of that is either going to be impossible or very hard to do. Devil's Ivy sent out again with Fighting Girlfriend. Devil's Ivy, ooh. Yeah, maybe I don't test those hips. Somebody lost a watch. Ivy very politely tosses that to the inside line. All 4 Elevated blockers are on. So this is something I've noticed about Elevated and Wasatch in the footage. You know, they do tend to leave all 4 blockers here. They don't let the pack stretch out much unless they're bridging one by one by one. Fighting Girlfriend with 1 to beat, but that is Booty Queen, who has shown herself to be a very focused one-on-one blocker. Fighting Girlfriend does pick up one of these rare leads now for Elevated Roller Derby. Devil's Ivy is still not out, but again, had all 4 blockers on her. So it is a very defensive game, but that is also very much what we expected. Although that's not what the game predictor expected. So, oh, wow, a cut track on Devil's Ivy. They've been so smart with it. That's the first jammer penalty now for Wasatch in this game. Fighting Girlfriend is your lead jammer, and we have a power jam in favor of Elevated for the first time. So, yeah, based on the recent games histories, Elevated was supposed to score 200 points, Wasatch to 99, 2-1. I don't know if we're going to have the complete opposite, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Girlfriend does decide to call up the jam after getting 4 points, icing Devil's Ivy in the box, standing, so less than 10 seconds of a power jam. So, you know, if you're me or if, you know, you're anybody, if you're Elevated jammers, you want to see a very fast offense off the line. You want that lead to happen before that jammer is released. And Wasatch is down a block or 2, so they really, really, really need to get that lead here and, you know, hopefully a long jam where their defense is locked in and they score a lot of points. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Everybody runs. Banff sent out for Elevated. Devil's Ivy is released. Banff is not the lead jammer. Devil's Ivy could still get lead. Everybody falls a little bit. You can do it. Okay, and that is Banff, who does get lead after 25 seconds, but a Devil's Ivy is out almost immediately. Yep, Banff popped out on the outside line. That is not the cut that you think it is, even if you hold your hands up like that. 5:05, that's Swear and Marie going for a direction to the box. Nice blocking here by number 22 off the rails. It's not going to be quite enough to recatch Banff, who's, again, going for lane 4, knocked out by Captain Bip. And, yeah, going to call this one off. Devil's Ivy released from the box, zooms through. That was the initial. Nope, yeah. 4 points there total for Wasatch. So, again, even with a power jam, Elevated ends up with a 0-0 jam. They're at 100 points. Wasatch at 147. Team timeout called by Elevated. If you're local to the Denver area, you might want to check out the Rocky Mountain Feline Rescue today. They're having what they call a kitten sprinkle. they're having a special event where you can go and play with all the kittens and maybe adopt a few. So, just so you know the schedule for the rest of the day, we do have another game coming up at 2:30. You're going to see Rocky Mountain Roller Derby and yours truly face off against Wasatch. So everybody's going to get a little break. You're going to try and stay cool. And then at 5 p.m., we will have our Rocky Mountain Roller Derby contenders versus the Pikes Peak Roller Derby Slamazons. That's going to be a regulation game. And of course, at 7 p.m., you will see Rocky Mountain Roller Derby Fight Club, 5280 Fight Club, once again face off against Elevated Roller Derby, all the way from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Team timeout is over. Looks like Elevated will start the next jam with their jammer, their pivot in the box, not their jammer, just kidding, JK. I do see Knuckles out here with 8-0 meet for Elevated Roller Derby. Whew. Buddy, it's warming up. It was nice and cool in here earlier, and it has definitely increased in temperature since the game has gone on. Again, it's going to be 100 degrees today, so it'll probably be 100 degrees inside. We'll see. There's no elevation advantage. Oh. No, and Elevated is like almost also a mile up. Okay. Instant lead jammer. Almost instant lead jammer for Knuckles. Less than 5 seconds. Elevated working on the initial with 2 to beat. Knuckles comes in, hits 2 of those Elevateds. Yeah, multiplayer block busted. We called that. Oof. 909, that's Tsunami heading to the box. Jam will be called dead with 2 Elevated blockers in the box. And they are sending out, Wasatch is sending out Glow Job to take advantage. 4 points picked up by Wasatch, 151 to 100. $151. So I just want to say on the predictor, again, Elevator is supposed to win this game 200 to 99. I don't think that's what's going to be the thing. This may not be the thing, folks. Here we are, Glow Job again. Another lead for Wasatch. Honestly, Wasatch just dominant. They must be practicing these jam starts because they are killing it. They are killing it against Elevated right now for leads. So in that first half, there were 21 jams. Wasatch got 15 out of 21 lead statuses, and they had 0 jammer penalties in the first half. Meanwhile, Elevated picked up 6 and did end up with 2 jammer penalties. One of them was a pivot turn jammer, but jammer penalty is a jammer penalty, guys. I'm sorry to say. Hello, Hunter. Thanks for joining us. And the roller dome gets all sweaty. Yeah, it does. It's going to be real sweaty in here. But it is dry. We got a bunch of fans going, so you do what you gotta. And we gotta play roller derby. Fighting Girlfriend sent out against Devil's Ivy. Devil's Ivy does get that lead jammer status. Instant. Pack hanging out in turn 1, turn 2, reforming, falling apart. They're trying to, they're using that Elevated blocker to hold on to Fighting Girlfriend. Very smart. Booty Queen hovering at the top of the pack here. You know, and I'll say Wasatch is definitely, they're not doing a lot of hitting. They're doing really a lot of positional blocking and using their height and power to just hang on to these jammers for pretty much ever. We are going to see Horticia Adams, who did take the star. So pivot turn jammer here, another star pass. We haven't had too many. I think maybe the second star pass Horticia has taken. but maybe it's the first. And, yeah, illegal position, which slap sent to the box by our OPRs here. Devil's Ivy finds a way through. And Devil's Ivy is going to go ahead and call off this jam. Even though they have a blocker in the box, that's okay. No points on... Yeah, 8 points so far for that jam. 159-100. 13:28 left in the game. I don't want to say Wasatch is looking tired, but they definitely don't look as fresh as they did in the first half. You know, that's to be expected, but I'm not really noticing too much difference in the scoring yet. Elevated is not catching up like they thought they would. Once the points started getting up there, the closest they've been is about 19 points, and now Wasatch is up nearly 60. Oh, big hit on the inside line. But you know what, guys? That is a forearm. It was a beautiful, beautiful forearm. And Banff is your lead jammer for Elevated. Knuckles is free, however. 3 points picked up on that pass, so there was a nowhere in pass on one of the blockers there for Banff. 4 points picked up by Knuckles, another 4 picked up by Banff. Guys, I know these jammers aren't tired, but these blockers, what are you guys doing right now? Got to keep them separated. No pack, no pack, I heard it. Get together. Another call, a direction call now on 248. That is, just got to scooch on past ya. In the wrong direction, unfortunately. Again, jammers just trading passes. I did see Banff missed one, did get a no-earn pass on the one on the second pass, but does get 4 more. Our scoreboard's a little bit behind our jam refs, but that's okay. They're catching up. I think everything's been counted. Nothing crazy so far on that. 15 points now for Elevated. So despite being down as much as they are, Elevated has had the highest scoring jam of the game with 22 points. However, we'll see if Banff can beat that. Almost. Nope. Yep, smart. Calling it off the jam. Picks up 2 on that last pass. Doesn't beat that 22-pointer, but 17 ain't bad either. However, once again, Wasatch has picked up points. So 17-12, a 5-point differential when Elevated really needs it to be like all 17. Let's go. That is Fruit Smacks and Meep Meep. Fruit Smacks for Wasatch and Meep Meep for Elevated. Smacks and Meep. Meep Snacks. Smacks. No lead yet. We do see Meep Meep up in turn 2. Held on. Again, both of these teams have been very fond of the long bridge. 626, yeah, that switch slap does not get a penalty this time for being out of position, so that's good. Got a little smarter there. Meep Meep is your lead jammer for Elevated, so 2 leads in a row. This is what is needed now if they do want to catch up here. Shout out to our lovely photographer, Al Green Jr. We love Al Green. He is the best ever. Go check his stuff out. He's a super nice guy, takes really great roller derby pictures, and he tries to get all of our officials and volunteers too, so that's awesome. A nice little knockout there by Colonel Skirts, again on Meep Meep. Doing a lot of work in the defense here for Wasatch today. Fruit Smacks recycled behind that outside line. So we're seeing a lot more jammers popped out on the outside as people get tired and the game goes on. What if stay in the middle? What if offense? We have seen a couple of multis in this game. I think I'm surprised we haven't seen more. That's not a ding on the refs or anybody, but I'm just kind of like, okay. But lots of lovely forearms. A lot of illegal positions. We saw one illegal procedure. What if offense, Icebox? You tell them what I said when they get home. No, don't do that. Here we go. Play offense for Fighting Girlfriend. She's my friend. All right, thighs, lead jammer. Okay, third lead in a row. No, just kidding. Devil's Ivy is actually the lead jammer. They just got out so close together that I have to look at sweatbands to know who's who. So, nice fast cardio jam, but no points. That's what cardio jams means, no points. 125, 174. Okay, Wasatch. Get the points, thighs. I know. But I think like everybody's saying to their jammers, get the points. So maybe if we're saying it, it's redundant. Not appreciated. Knuckles and Fighting Girlfriend back on the line. Again, Knuckles does get that lead, breaking that nice streak Elevated had going. So Elevated, despite their lead streak of like 3 and 4 jams, are still now only 50 points behind instead of 60. What are you going to do? Send Fighting Girlfriend against all those people by herself. Free girlfriend. Free our girlfriend. Look, I'm not on anybody's side. I'm just a fan of some skaters, okay? So I don't want anybody to be like, Chai's biased. I am biased, but I try not to tell you all about it too hard on the internet. Here we go. That is 4 points on the line for Knuckles, who is also maybe now a personal roller derby hero. And Fighting Girlfriend with 1 to beat, almost. Colonel Skirts hanging on with the arm right there. I saw that. All right, maybe not a forearm, though. Maybe not. So Knuckles is going to call off this jam after picking up a few more points here. So Wasatch just inching it up. They're not going for these really long jams. They're not really doing a lot of multi-pass jams. Nothing really that's been over 12, I think, honestly. And if they feel like Elevated is going to score, they do tend to call it off. But yeah, the story of this game so far has been Wasatch's defense. They're just not letting Elevated roller derby cook, except for that one 117-point jam and 122-point jam, which Wasatch still scored on, several points. So even those big jams were mitigated by Wasatch still managing to score, as Elevated tells them to run it, but not also giving the instruction to defense to not let anybody by. Eve Hell is your lead jammer for Wasatch. Hi, Callie. Welcome to the chat. My name is Chai. Banff with the star in hand hasn't happened too often. I've seen Banff with the star in hand. I think maybe this is the second or third time this game. Wasatch losing 2 blockers to the box. So come on, Banff. There we go. Put that star back on. Good job, Banff. Eve Hell. Again, very strong jammer, but again, has to be making the space and does get 3 of those points, so didn't manage to pass everybody. But again, 0-point jam for Elevated, 5:25 on the clock, 185, 125, 60-point lead again for Wasatch. Got ourselves another lead jammer, Devil's Ivy. Meep Beep is out, completing the initial pass here as Devil's Ivy comes through. Gonna go ahead and get 4 points and call off this jam. Yeah, I mean, Wasatch is easy. If they can hold Elevated down, that's gonna be ideal. So again, Elevated was predicted to win this game and by a good amount. And that's going to mess with some stuff. That's going to mess with some stuff. We only got 4 minutes left in this game, guys. I don't see I don't see Elevated catching up too much in the last 4 minutes, especially given the track record so far. Again, this half has been the same. Wasatch been getting most of the leads. There was a really nice lead streak Elevated had. Thighs is currently the lead jammer, but again, after 3-4 lead jams, Elevated they only closed the gap by 10 points. So, unfortunately, they did not capitalize on that streak like they could have to make this a much closer game. I say like they could have, like I'm making a lot of assumptions here, but I believe everybody can capitalize on something, It's huge. So that was a nice pass there for Thighs. 4 points. Everybody's coming into that 4 straightaway into turn 3. Knuckles with 1 to beat. Lots of arms. It's getting a little army. Boof. Big spill here on the outside on that pivot. Thighs. Not sure about the passing, but yeah, I think that was okay. Yep. Refs are good. They're watching that pack. They're watching these jammers. They're seeing who passed whom. So Thighs does get all 4 of those points on that pass. Knuckles is a forearm call. Who's going to the box for the forearm? That is number 15. Yep. Harley Darlin. A lot of arms out while blocking. Sometimes that gets into trouble there. Thighs coming through for another scoring pass. Swearin' Marie holding down that defense with Killer Queen there with her Elevated. They've got Knuckles' number at this point. So Knuckles having a very good game. But again, we're 2 minutes to the end of the game. Knuckles is tired. Knuckles has done plenty of work for this game already. Swearin' Marie going to go ahead and go back to the box for an illegal contact call. Knuckles scores 4 more points before the jam is called. Again, Elevated had lead. They got 16 points, but they gave up 12. Well, when you do a forearm, you should be sad. Icebox. Because everybody knows better. Okay, score update, just kidding. That ended up being a 20-point jam for Elevated. But again, they still gave up 12, so not as bad as before. And Wasatch up now over the 200 mark. Our lead jammer is Fighting Girlfriend. She's telling him to run. She thinks she can sprint faster than Glow Job there. And I don't know. Glow Job sees this. She's like, I don't think so. I will stay right 20 feet behind you. So we'll see. That Fighting Girlfriend really wants her team to get ahead of Wasatch, so maybe she can score some points before Glow Job returns to the pack, but no. Okay, so maybe Girlfriend thinks she can play a little defense as she tries to juke through this pack. Is going to at least get 3 of these points. Oh, nice, does get all 4. Glow Job, though, gonna let Glow Job score points here. Nice big hit. Oof, on Horticia Madams, good job. It's hard to take a hit from somebody who's as very good at hitting as Glow Job appears to be. Here we go. Fighting Girlfriend stuck in the back of this Wasatch pack. They're just going to let Glow Job do her work up there. Wasatch doing too well. They got a little out of play back. Oh, no, Glow Job is in the box. No. Welcome, Kidam Hawk. Kidam F. Hawk. It's okay. You can rewind it probably on Twitch. I don't know all the answers or the technology here, but I bet you can still rewind it if you want to watch it. We do have a little break before the next game. This is a power jam. Glow Job was sent to the box. Fighting Girlfriend is still your lead jammer on a nice scoring pass, but again, who is that? 626 once again. Witch Slapped is there to touch every single jammer every single time. Yeah. This is the game, guys. This is the game. So Elevated is going to pick up some more points on this last jam. Wasatch absolutely taking the win. We're waiting for that final whistle. Waiting on the. All right, that's it. You heard the man, Snarky Meaties. 205 to 153. Guys, this was not the result that was expected, but Wasatch did not come to mess around, and I really do think when they watch this footage later, they're going to be happy about a lot of the defense that was played today. Elevated again, underperforming, as far as the numbers go, but still leaving it all out on the track, winning that last jam, 8-4 jam, 153. Guys, that's your final score, so congratulations to everybody. We will be back closer to 2:30 p.m. for Rocky Mountain Roller Derby versus Wasatch Roller Derby Midnight Terrors. Thank you so much. My name is Chad Kilski. See you later.